Welcome back to the Working Well podcast and our special 52 Life Lessons series. Now, I'm doing something a bit different today. As you can see, I'm not recording from my office at home. I'm recording from a lake in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. So if you're watching from abroad, get out here. It's amazing. Now, the events of the past few years sparked a period of deep reflection for me. And one of the outcomes of that reflection was a list of what I felt were the top lessons I'd learned throughout my life. And I decided to turn these into a podcast and a blog series because I realized that these lessons and topics are common themes that are closely connected to the challenges that my coaching and consulting clients are facing in their work and their life. And right now we're in lesson 2, Know Your Why. In part 1 of this lesson, or in part 2 of lesson 2, a little bit confusing, but you get it. So in part 1 of lesson 2, we talked about the power of knowing your why and how to apply that throughout your life. Now today we're going to dive a bit deeper. We're going to find out how to find your why and how you can more effectively live it and align it with the life that you're building. Now, let's talk about passion, because you've probably heard the advice, do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Or perhaps, follow your passion and the money will come. But I like to say that's usually terrible advice. And here's a few reasons why. First, it assumes that passion is fixed and fully formed. It encourages big life changes without necessarily a clear strategy. We've heard the saying, jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down. Well, sometimes that works. Many times it ends in a catastrophic crash. And it doesn't have to be that way. The third thing is it overlooks the fact that your love for something, your passion for something can quickly fade when it becomes your job or your means of earning an income. Let's look at a couple quick examples of that. Things that I've heard countless times from people and what Michael Gerber might call an entrepreneurial seizure. So let's say Janet loves photography, but then she quits her full-time job to do it, and in the process loses the joy that she had and adds a ton of stress to her life. I've heard this one as well. Marco, and obviously names, they've been changed. So Marco was an enthusiastic amateur chef, and he left his corporate job, struggled to make money in his new catering venture, and now he hates cooking. He's completely lost his love for the culinary arts. He just doesn't want to cook at all, even now that he's gone back to a corporate job, because there's pain and trauma associated with it, because he didn't have that plan in place. Now, there are countless examples of this, and I'm not saying you shouldn't pursue your passions and your dreams. It's just important to realize that there are numerous ways to do that, and some of them are smarter than others. We're not always going to succeed when we take a risk. That's the idea behind a risk. But by stepping back and thinking about it, and thinking about this follow your passion concept in a different way. So there's a flip side to this approach, and that's be passionate about what you do. This means that you can grow through mastery. You align your work with your values and your strengths, and you get to cultivate curiosity and contribute to something positive, impactful, and that's greater than you. I see this example quite often in my coaching clients when someone says, I didn't expect to love my new role, but the more I saw the impact I was able to make, the more passionate I became about what I was doing. And this is a great lesson, is we can, by diving in and really absorbing the process and finding our why, like what is it about why we exist that we love to do that we can apply to the situation that we're in in a given moment. You've heard the example undoubtedly about the people building a cathedral versus laying bricks or putting stones on top of each other. Someone just says, I'm showing up to work and I got to make a living for my family and I'm just stacking bricks. Whereas someone else says, I have a vocation, I'm getting really good at stacking bricks. And someone else says, I'm building a cathedral. And they see this vision. All three of them are doing the same thing, but they're approaching it from very, very different perspectives. So you can find passion and purpose and your why within what you're doing. You don't necessarily have to drop everything you're doing and follow something else. Now, with that being said, there are lots of people that do that, and it works well for them. I'm simply saying, think about it before you do that. When someone gives you that advice, maybe step back. Talk to a coach about it. Talk to people around you. But most importantly, listen to what's going on inside you. So the lesson here, being able to combine your purpose, your passion, and your career is absolutely possible. But it's not automatic. If you're thinking of big change, here are a few points to consider. So one, you can test your hypothesis with a side gig. Are you someone who loves photography and wants to maybe start a photography business? What happens if you do that on the side, on the weekends, in the evenings? Is it something you still find passion in? And are you able to generate the level of income that you want from that passion? If so, absolutely. Awesome. Dive into it. Take a sabbatical if you can. There are some careers that offer the opportunity to take a sabbatical. Dive in and start your business on that sabbatical. Or keep your passion as simply a hobby and find purpose in your current role that helps you connect more with your day job. And that's okay. This isn't binary. It's a spectrum, and you have a lot more options than you think. Again, I've had this conversation many times with clients. I've had it with myself as I've gone through transitions and career shifts in my life. So how do you refine, or first of all, find and then refine your why? Now, there are endless ways that you can find and refine it, but I've got a simple 3-step framework that I've used with myself and with other clients. And the first step starts with asking better questions. Figure out what energizes me. What problem or problems am I drawn to solve, and why? And what type of work would I do if I didn't get paid for it? What would I do for free? Those are really important questions to answer. Those help you really narrow in and target on what you're most passionate about. For the second one, get outside help. A coach, a mentor, a trusted peer, someone who can help you see what you can't. Their feedback can help you refine your why a lot faster. Now, word of caution here. Some people, I don't know if you've heard the crabs in the bucket analogy. When someone has a goal, a lot of times people continually want to pull them down. There's a difference between positive encouragement, constructive appraisal of a situation versus hindering someone's progress or trying to talk them out of it. You are ultimately responsible for your own decision. So you can take what other people say and weigh it with what your goals and your values and your mission is, and make the best decision for you in that moment. The third step is to define your values and vision. And often when we start asking questions and we get outside help, that process helps us really get clear on what are what I call the 5 non-negotiable values. And it doesn't have to be exactly 5, but it could be ideally 3, 4, or 5 non-negotiable values that just in the background have always defined your decision-making process. They're the things that when you're in misalignment with your values, you get frustrated, you get upset, you constantly, things don't feel right and you have to fix it. When you are living true to those values, you're energized, you're feeling great. Even though you might be working hard and struggling to learn something, you're in alignment with your values. So there's this positive energy behind it. When you can help identify those, it starts to make everything in your life that much easier because you're able to act in accordance with them. And ideally, those values help you identify your why and that purpose behind why you do what you do each day and why you're driven to do that. And there's some great values exercises out there. Happy to share them with you. I've got some worksheets. If you want, just message me on LinkedIn or on my website, and I'm happy to send that off to you. Just put values in there and I'll send it off to you. So when we think about, we've identified our why, we've got our values lined up, we know what we're passionate about, how do we, on a day-to-day basis, implement habits that help us anchor to our why? And of course, we have to know our why in order to do that. But knowing it is only one step. Living it is the most important part. So here are, again, 3 little steps, plus I got a little bonus one after. But the first step is what I call the morning why review. Each day, as part of your morning routine, just review your why. Does it still resonate with you? Does it provide inspiration and motivation to take on the day? Does it help you clarify what your focus is for that day? And that's step 2, purpose-linked planning. When planning your week, planning your day, are you providing priority to the tasks that most align with your passion, your purpose, your values? That's a good litmus test to see if you're truly living in line with them. Now, not all of them are going to align with that, and that's okay. But the large majority should be focused around that. When you have to only pick the top 3 things, ideally, those are aligned with what you are most passionate about and what are most important in your life. Vacation. My mouse not working properly. And the last one is the end of day alignment check-in. And this is a bit more of like a journaling or a gratitude exercise, is that how well at the end of the day do you rate that you lived in alignment with your values and your why today? And you can give yourself a score. Track it over time if you want, if you're really data focused. I know clients that have a spreadsheet with tracking that. I'm not one of those people. I don't necessarily track it in a spreadsheet, but I do like to do an end of day journaling where I say, okay, how did I live into alignment with my values today? So those 3 daily habits are morning why review, plan based on your purpose. So your top 3 for the day, how aligned are they with your values and your why? And then that end of day alignment check-in, give yourself a score. How did you do on that day? And the bonus one, and this goes for all kinds of goals, but make it visible. Put it on your wall, in your planner, on your screensaver, your background of your phone. Talk about it with people who matter to you and that will be positive and help hold you accountable to living into that. Those friends that will call you when you're not living in line with your values. And the only way they can do that is if they know them. So that's where personally we can dive into our why, our purpose, our values, and really help use them to improve the rest of our life. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about how to bring that into the workplace. Now, if you lead a team or run a business, I want you to ask yourself, ask yourself and your team, what's our deeper purpose beyond profit? Why was the company created? How much better can we tap into that? How does that passion and purpose show up in the daily experience of our people, our customers, our vendors? Are we leading based on those values? And as a leader, how can I help my team see their individual impact as part of our team, as part of the organization, and the impact that they make? How can I help them see our department's impact on the rest of the organization, on our customers, on our coworkers? These are all things that can add meaning and value to the work we do. So when organizations intentionally cultivate this meaning, this connection, this gratitude, they don't just become better places to work, they perform better too. Companies become more profitable, businesses grow, humans thrive, teams become more engaged. It becomes a positive spiral. So for some final thoughts, I have to go back to, at least for me and for what I've seen with clients, your why is your superpower. When you know it, everything else becomes clearer and better. So 3 simple steps for you to take today. And the first one, write your why. Explore that process. Then identify one habit that supports it and one that doesn't. The last one, just share it with someone that's going to hold you accountable. All right, next steps. If you want support building this foundation for yourself or your team, let's talk. Coaching and consulting are great ways to accelerate your progress. Again, whether you're an individual contributor, a leader, a business owner, your future self will thank you for dialing this in for yourself. But again, if you're a leader or a business owner, dialing it in for your team will supercharge the results you get from your people and your business. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next episode. Thanks again for listening to the Working Well podcast. That wraps up another episode of the Working Well podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Now, which guests or topics would you like to see featured on the show? Message me through LinkedIn or on the contact page of timborys.com with your ideas. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tim Borys with Fresh Wellness Group, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.